So we are here today in Lomé, Togo with Sename Koffi, founder of WoeLab. Thank you so much for making the time to meet and speak with us. And let's just start with talking about what exactly you do at WoeLab.
So here we are at WoeLab 0, but we have now 2 labs. We have WoeLab Prime also. So it is a network of innovation space, and the idea is to continue to create some and have one innovation space in each neighborhood in this city, and using this network of labs to produce a lot of smart citizens, because those labs are open to everybody. Everybody can come and be trained to technology and beginning to launch projects who can change his area. Each lab work on project who can change 1 kilometer around. So if you have a network of places like this all over the cities, you can have a smart cities in a few years. So it's a new approach of the smart city, using innovation space to produce a lot of smart citizens who are able to transform themselves, their neighborhood.
How would you describe a smart city?
Officially, a smart city is a project of city built with technologies, but how our policymakers see it is as a big new cities project, very futuristic cities, and those projects are not really focused on empower the capacities of citizens. It is project of city you import with technology imported, and you put people in those cities. But the approach we have here is to produce first smart citizens and let them build their own cities, develop their own project to collect waste, their own project to find food in the city, their own project for the mobility, etc.
So how do the innovation centers work? How do you create these smart citizens?
Okay, so each lab is open to everybody. You don't need to pay for anything to come and work here, and you are in a community. Here, by example, we have 30 people in the community, and those people decided together for projects who can change 1 kilometer around. They have one project to collect all the plastic waste in 1 kilometer around. They have a project to transform each dump in 1 kilometer around in a garden for biological food, etc., etc. So the community make a lot of brainstorming, and they choose the project they see like very interesting and which can have an impact in this in this neighborhood, and they try to transform those projects in startups, because the startup right now is the things who can implement idea very quickly and scale up. So all the startup created here belongs to the community, and the resources are shared on the community. We don't have CEO, but every of those 30 guys own a part in those business we are developing here, and business who are supposed to have an impact first in 1 kilometer around the labs.
Wow, so WoeLab basically creates a center, a hub in each community, and then brings together 30 people from the surrounding community.
Exactly.
And they together sit and discuss what issues they see, and they decide, okay, we want to focus on this one thing.
Exactly.
And then based on that, they create a startup.
Exactly.
That's not owned by anyone.
No.
They own it together.
Yes.
And with that startup, they use it to implement the solutions that they have come up with.
Exactly. You say it better than me.
No, that's amazing.
It is the idea.
How did you come up with the idea?
I see a potential in this type of space, maker space, fab lab, incubator, co-working space, to serve the community. And I imagine the project name is UpCity, so it's an alternative smart city project who try to put people together in the community and use the fact that the technology now are very democratized. Anyone can quickly learn technology. Technology are cheaper So people can develop their own smart project for the neighborhood. And as it is a network of space, a project can be also implemented in the other space, and all the lab we create work like a smart grid, and they share their experience, etc. And all those people, the idea is to have maybe 1,000 labs in Lomé with maybe 50,000 startups. And at the end, all these startups can decide to use the same system of exchange, the same money, and don't use the money. And all those startups will belong to the hub citizens, and think about how we can have startups not as Uber, Airbnb, but startups who share all the revenue on everybody who is involved in the startup. So it is an utopia, but we try to, since 2012, to make it concrete by launching the first lab here, and in 2017 we created the second one, and at the end of this year we plan to launch the third one.
I don't know if you know this English saying that too many cooks spoil the broth. Do you know it? Okay, so it basically means that in one kitchen there can be very many people doing different things, but there needs to be like the top chef who's calling the shots, because someone has to be making the decisions, right, to make the food amazing. So just with this with this in the back of my head, I'm curious as to why there's not one CEO, one person owning, just because I don't know how the management works around. Yeah.
So on the paper is supposed to be very democratic. Okay. So all those guys have a meeting each day at 13, they stop everything and they have 1 hour meeting every day. So the 30 people sit together and decided for everything. Which startup don't work, which one need help, how we can manage for the fees, etc. They decided everything in this collective way of managing. And they choose an executive manager for 3 months. You put the name of everybody and someone pick. Okay. So you pick one leader for 3 months, and after this you make it again and you change. So each one can become leader of the community by spending long time here. But it is on paper. In the reality, I play too much the role of CEO because it is me who finance everything. So my voice is higher than the other voice because I put money in. But when the community will be able to win his own money and don't need my help, I will become a simple member of the community, and I will wait off the hazard to choose me to become a leader. So it is not really a democratic way of doing things. It is a duocratic way of doing things right now, because it is the one who make a lot of money, who have the highest voice or the highest place.
I'm very curious, at what point did you sit down and decide that, okay, this is an issue that I have seen and this is how I think we can solve it, now let's go and do this? Was there like a single minute in life that happened?
Yes, I was in France. I study architecture and anthropology, and what I do is to make vernacular architecture. I try to build houses with people, with local material, etc. But I thought for a long time that it is not possible to do it in the city. To build cities with people is not possible. This vernacular approach of the city, I thought it is not possible. And when I discovered the maker movement, the Fab Lab, etc., I find a possibility by creating those labs all over the city to put people together and be able to build, to concretize the city they want. So it is at the beginning just an utopia I write. And in 2012, I create the first lab to see if it is possible. We were in 9 meters square. Now we have 600 meters square for the first lab. The other lab is also 600 meters square, and so we go. It is an accident. It's not supposed to be concretized. It's just an utopia at the beginning.
How did you do that? How did you create the first lab?
The first lab was in a school.
Yeah.
We make a camp to put everybody in the neighborhood together and try to see what is the problem in the neighborhood and how in 3 weeks we can launch project will solve those problems. And after these 3 weeks, we ask the school to give us a classroom, and we create the lab. In WoeLab 0 was in this classroom, and after this we move to another place, and here is the third place we created. And people come by themselves. I don't have to do anything because people know that by coming here, you are a part of community. You have a lot of training on technology. Internet is free, a lot of events, a lot of people like you who come, exchange. So people come by themselves.
What is the biggest challenge you would say that you have faced?
The biggest challenge for a long time was the mentality, because I decided to do all this because when I saw this sharing ethics in the Fab Lab, Makerspace, etc., I say it will be good. It will be easy in Africa because we have all this solidarity, all this sharing habits, but it is not true. Young people come here but don't want to play the community game. Everybody wants for him. So it's the biggest challenge. You need to put some dispositives to maybe create this cohesion and this preoccupation to share with everybody. We have in our village, but we don't have it in the city. Young people in the city don't use to share and to do together. So you have to find the solution to make them do it. So it was the biggest challenge. Now, another challenge we have is the money, because I finance all this myself since the beginning. Now we have some help with Ashoka, because Ashoka gave some money to me, but I put it in the project. I'm not supposed to, but go to the project, but it's not sufficient for all the challenges we have. So if we want to continue to grow, to scale up, have more labs, we'll need a partner who can help us. But the idea at the beginning is to say that we can do this without anyone who put money in, just by having in the neighborhood people who give the place and people who come, etc., etc. But it's not the fact. You need to rent the place, and so you need money for it.
I don't know if you are at liberty to share, but what is your business model? Is there a way that Woelab makes money?
Yes, because all the projects we develop here are the best projects are supposed to become startups.
Okay, yeah.
So the startup have to give some money to the lab to pay rent, electricity, internet, etc. The rest of the money is shared on the community. But right now we don't have any startup who really win money. It's a problem. But the business model is to launch startup who belongs to the community and who help to pay for the community. But for make startup, you need money. You need money to invest, and we don't have this money.
I'm very curious. Did you always know that you wanted to get into entrepreneurship? Like, what were you doing before you started Woelab?
Yes, because not entrepreneurship in this with this capitalistic perspective, but entrepreneurship with the vision that you are self-sufficient. Yes. You need to be able to don't ask money to people. So this project, since the beginning, is supposed to be a self-funded project. But I don't thought that it would be so challenging.
How did you manage to put up like the first capital to? I know you mentioned that Ashoka helped at some point, but before that.
Yes, Ashoka helped since 2 years.
Yeah.
But before Ashoka, we don't have anything. No, I am architect, so I continue to make my work with architecture, and sometimes I have project I pay for, and so I put the money in this project. Now I am also invited for conference with people who pay me, so the money help the lab, etc. So I try to multiply the opportunity to have money and to put it here. But it's we spend about 4,000 euros each month for this project, so we need a lot of money.
Thank you so much for sharing so far. I'm very curious, what is the challenge for the startups to become profitable so that the business model you have in mind can work out? What's the main challenge that you need to solve there?
We have the challenge of the fund, but it is a challenge for every startup in this country. Togo is not like Senegal, Abidjan with some VC. We don't have like a VC here. But the other challenge is the technological aspect itself, because our communities are open. It is not an elitist community. We don't have developer, designer, people. No, we are open to everybody. You can come here, not ever go to school, but you have your place. So it's good. It is good for have very brilliant idea, because you have an ecosystem of people very mixed, not only developers, etc. But to deliver and to achieve the idea is more difficult, because people come here even don't never heard about the word startup. You need to train them to everybody, and for the technological aspect, it's very difficult to concretize our idea also. So we take a long time to do things we can do quicker if you have a very good team of developer, high trained developer, etc.
So you deliberately choose to take a more difficult path to make your vision come true in terms of developing the human potential.
Exactly, because the idea is not to pay people to do it. We need to train ourselves to coding, even if we don't go to school, even if you have 6 years, and be able to do it for yourself. So it takes a long time.
I'm very curious, what keeps you going? Like you had this idea that you wrote down in 2012. Mm-hmm. You started the project. So, and yes, there's a lot of recognition because becoming a Ashoka Fellow, not everyone becomes an Ashoka Fellow.
Exactly,
so there must have been many successes, but in terms of the bigger vision and the utopia that you were talking about, what keeps you focused on that and believing in that? What kind of success stories maybe, or things that you see make you continue believe that it's possible to do that?
I'm convinced that it is possible, and I meet people every day who think it's just a pretext to do things, but I'm convinced that it is possible. And it is because in French we call it sens de responsabilité.
Yeah,
I think it is. Yes, I find a way to solve problem. I have to try it. So I continue because I think I have the capacities to do it. So if I don't do it,
who will?
What is my place in this? Yes. And it is also a big issue. You know, this urban, it's maybe the biggest issue we will face in Africa. The population will double to 2050. One human on 4 will live in Africa, and 1 human on 6 in an African city. We'll have very big cities. You know, the biggest cities in the world will be in Africa. We will have, by example, a unique city from Lagos to Abidjan. All those capitals you travel to will touch, because we'll have a lot of people. And if we think these cities in this with this waste approach, our planets could not support it, because if you produce waste, like waste people produce waste, etc., we could not support it. But our policymaker thinks the future of our city based on what they see with waste cities, and it is not possible if one of the prospectivists 5 cities in Africa who will be the biggest cities in the world. If only one of these 5 cities work like New York, it will be the end of the world, because too much people who don't manage their waste, who don't find a way to find very good food, etc. So it is maybe the biggest issue we have, how to produce future cities who are not cities who are inclusive cities, who people understand the city and are able to act on the city. If it is not this solution, it will be smart cities, and the smart cities are projects developed in the West to sell technology to African people and to have our data. So we need to develop our own approach of the smart city.
Are there success stories of young people that come to your mind when you think, okay, you know, this has been worth the journey so far? Because you said young people come in here maybe without any training, without ever having been to school. Do you have any example of a young person that came here and surprised you and how they express their potential?
Oh, we have a lot of examples. We created the local Syntech here. If you take 5 people in the Syntech, 4 of them come from Woelab. And there are no people you should think it will play a big role in an ecosystem. We have also a good, if you come here, maybe someone who will not leave this country can, after 3 months with us, go to USA and make a conference. So the young people who are in the community here make a lot of travel to talk about the project they are working on, etc. So it's a very big door to the world, because we have a very big network, we are well known, etc. etc.
So you're really creating more change makers here?
Yes, but still with these difficulties, who is that the people come, are trained, and they live and they make their project, their startup, not in the spirit we want here. They make a project, very classic project, but not project based on sharing the benefits, etc., etc. So, and they don't give back to the community too. So it is these things we need to still work on it, because we don't think we have a success story if you have someone who create an Uber. It's good for him, but it will be better if it is an inclusive startup. That's
Okay.
what we want.
I understand. So many people that came here have built successful businesses.
Yes.
But they had the utopia of them sharing the equity equally amongst each other.
No
that
one
has not
play
happened.
this game, no.
Understand.
Unless you are still in the community. But when they leave the community, they don't continue. Yeah.
So WoeLab does not take equity in these businesses?
No. Only for our own business we develop here. We have about 12 startups created with the WoeLabs, and all those 12 startups belongs to the community.
Okay.
And the equity is shared on everyone who is the community. But you can be in the community by arriving today.
Okay.
You just have to participate to the life of the community, respect the charter, and you are part of the community. You don't need to...
It's like an association,
exactly.
Open association.
Exactly.
Wow. And are these startups, these 12 startups, are they making revenue?
Not yet. Not any of them really. We have some little contracts, but any of them really...
Okay. So they're just in the experimenting, testing phase?
Yes. Maybe half of them make their proof of concept, and we need money now to scale. And we make all our proof of concept in this area. We have, by example, this project Urbanatic, who transform dumps in urban garden, and you have a platform. And if you are in the neighborhood, you can own a food, and you know that the food you own is produced in this neighborhood. And you can also give your your time to help in the garden. And if you give your time, you have a profile on the platform you are developing, and you win points on your profile. So you can accumulate a lot of points and use those points for a parallel economy.
I'm very impressed by your drive to continue this. I mean, you are very, very persistent since 2012, continuing on this utopia. How do you manage to build your business as an architect and to manage WoeLab at the same time and financing this? How do you build your architect business? Because it must be a successful practice to support $4,000 every month. That's quite some capital.
I don't take care as I should of my architectural work, because I think I can make very good things in architecture, but I don't have the time. So I make some projects, and I'm specialized in earth architecture, earth architecture, building with mood. So you don't have a lot of
Nubian vaults.
Yes. So no, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Even to pay electricity, sometimes it's very hard for us. Yes. But we manage it.
Wow. You know, because it's such a community idea around it, that reminds me a lot of crowdfunding in a way. And you mentioned the challenge to get investors. Have you ever thought of crowdfunding projects, or are you already doing that?
Yes.
And do you think it could be successful?
Yes, we make true crowdfunding, but for our 3D printer project. We are well known for a 3D printer because we created the first African-made 3D printer in this lab, and we make a crowdfunding. The first crowdfunding is for the technology because we achieved all the mechanic, but we didn't have the money for train our community to the soft. So we make a crowdfunding. We collect $4,000. That helped to bring someone here who stay with us 3 weeks, train people, pay some of the member of the community to achieve the 3D printer. And we make a second crowdfunding to show the printer in the New York 3D print show, to make the trip of 3 people who go to New York and show the printer. But it is 5 years ago, and since that we didn't make any other crowdfunding.
If you could partner right now with anyone and ask them for anything, who would you reach out to, or who would you partner with? What would you ask them for, and why?
Yes, we have 2 challenges: the money. But at the beginning, the idea is not to ask money at all. We don't want in our resume that people say that they do all this because World Bank or Google put money in it. We really want it to be a project self-funded. And we think it will be possible because it is a place who solve problem for 1 kilometer around, and we thought that people in the neighborhood will come and help because they saw that this place solved problem for the community, but it is not really the case. Now we want to scale up, we want to have more labs, and we need money. We can continue to say we want to be radical and don't have money. We need money, but we want money from a sponsor who will respect our ethics and will not try to change it. And for the moment, so anyone come and propose anything, and the community itself are not trained to fundraising. We don't know how. I can do it, but the young people I have here don't really know how you should put the document together and go and ask for money. And we need to maybe work on it, because the idea is not me to ask money, it's the community who are supposed to plan this. And the second challenge is the technological aspect. If we have a partner who wants to help us for our platform, because we have very high level ambition for our platform. Each startup you have here are supposed to have a platform for his user to put money on it, like points, and have an economy who connect all the startups. So in terms of programming, it's very high level skill needed. And if someone wants to help us for this, it will be...
So with technical expertise to help build the platforms that you need to create a vision.
Exactly.
What would be your advice to a young Togolese today?
To come here and be part of the community.
Yeah.
It is the better place to be when you are in Lomé. It's a better place to be.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Very powerful vision, and
Thank you.
More power to you.
Thank you.